What's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well, or I guess as good as can be expected, because oof, that game, not the way you want to see the Bulls start the season. That game was brutal in so many ways. The offense, the defense, particularly the defense, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And before I actually get into the video, apologies, you're probably noticing this is a pre-season highlight reel, and that's because there are copyright strikes and things that you can get from showing actual regular season games shortly after they air. And I wanted to make sure that I did a post-game video shortly after the game, so that's the reason for that. But back to the game, you know, it is just the first game of the season, so I don't want to put that much stock into it. But if this is any indication of how the Bulls are going to play against teams, we are in for a long season. Final score of the game was 124 to 104, but to be honest, it was actually much worse than that. Bulls were down by more than 40 points at one point, but they closed the gap slightly in garbage time in the fourth. Now, if you caught my pregame video, I talked about my keys to the game, and the Bulls literally failed in all of those. The first one being attacking on offense, especially taking advantage of the fact that the Hawks were without all of their major defenders. Now, their offense wasn't as bad as their defense, but man, shooting 23% from three, 41% from the field as a whole against a team whose best defenders were out, I mean, that's just inexcusable in my opinion. The other key I referenced that needed to happen during this game was staying on Trae Young, particularly Coby White. And I mentioned how I would have preferred him to sacrifice his offensive game today, really just to focus on defending Trae, saving his energy for that. And instead, Trae Young had 37 points in 26 minutes, shooting 10 for 12 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3. I know Trae Young is a lethal shooter. He's going to get his. You know, there's nothing really a lot you can do about it. But giving up those kind of numbers, you know, regardless of who it is, it's pretty bad. And allowing him that much space as they did on him, that's something that 100% needs to be addressed. And finally, my other key was play hard consistently for 48 minutes. I've said this time and again, I am okay with the Bulls losing a game as long as they play hard with effort and energy, and I didn't really see that at any point in the night until garbage time, really. The guys looked a little lackadaisical, lost on defense, and didn't really move the ball well on offense either. It was more ISO ball, more of the same that we saw from last season. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to, you know, try to get too ahead of myself because it is just one game. I don't doubt that adjustments will be made, but overall, not the kind of performance you want to see your team start off the season with. I would say, you know, the only really bright spots from the night, if you can call them that, was that Lauri Markkanen did have himself a solid game. You know, 21 points on efficient shooting from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. It's the kind of numbers we need to see from Lauri put up consistently. Patrick Williams, for his NBA debut, actually looked really great. 16 points in 33 minutes, no turnovers. For a guy at his age, in his very first game, I thought he did very well. Levine looked decent as well, but he wasn't that efficient, you know, at all in terms of his shooting. He was 1 for 8 from 3, 22 points in 25 minutes. But, you know, we as Bulls fans, we expect a little bit more out of Levine. He is our best player, and we've got to see him be more efficient overall in leading this team and being that franchise player that we want to see. Wendell Carter Jr., another non-factor, really. 6 points, 6 rebounds in 26 minutes. No blocks. I mean, you know, that's one of his areas that he excels at, is his defense. No blocks, and he had 3 turnovers. I'm slowly losing hope in this guy, but I'll continue to give him the benefit of the doubt until we're at least a couple weeks into the season. But this was very similar to what we saw in the preseason from Wendell, although he didn't shoot as many threes. But honestly, the biggest disappointment of tonight has got to be Coby White. 9 points, 7 assists in 30 minutes, 1 for 7 from 3, 2 for 11 from the field overall. And I think the biggest negative for him tonight was his defense. Trae Young straight up owned him tonight. Now, we're used to, you know, Chris Dunn having the assignment of guarding Trae Young, which he did very well the last 2 seasons, and now he's actually on that team. But for Coby, this was, you know, one of my concerns with him was his consistency. I think a lot of Bulls fans hyped him up quite a bit because of the way he closed out the season before the league was suspended and how well he performed. And I was happy to see him perform in the way that he did. But he has to show me he can continue to play like that night in and night out. He is only 20, so I'm giving him a pass because he's still developing. But man, you know, how about that hot take I shared in one of my prior videos from a fan who said that Coby White was better than Trae Young? That didn't age very well. Anyway, guys, I won't continue to beat the Bulls any further than I already have. At the end of the day, it is just one loss in the standings. I do still have faith that these guys will continue to develop and show their true potential as the season progresses. And if they don't, and we continue to see more of what we saw tonight, then there are going to need to be major changes that need to be made to this roster. Let me know what you guys think though. Thoughts on the game, something to worry about, or do we need to hold off on judgment until, you know, we're a bit further into the season? Let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan and you want to be included in the drawing, especially for that $50 gift card to NBAstore.com. I announced the giveaway and the details in my pregame video, so you can check that out, and I will catch you guys in the next one.